Okay, could you tell I got roped into this one? Anyway,
Because we have the right.
yeah, I haven't got a presentation, so it doesn't matter about that as far as that's concerned. I'm sorry I didn't have time to put all that together between work and running here and there and personal things and everything goes on. And I'm sure many of you all are more busy than I am. But anyway, Jim had suggested to me that I might consider putting on a presentation here on some of the ideas. And by golly, I really hope to get some ideas back here today. Some ideas, present some ideas. I've had a little bit of luck in starting a couple of Aries groups in a couple of counties in my area. Brian Clark, who is, where are you, Brian? Okay. Brian Clark is my DEC up in the northern part, and quite honestly, thank goodness for people like him, because he pretty much takes care of that area up there, and he's done it quite well without much of my help. But, Brian, I really appreciate that. I understand you're getting a new group started up in the northern part, Pendleton County.
Pendleton County.
And is that going well?
It's going pretty well. It's actually a CERT team being sponsored by Pendleton County Emergency Management, and then they're also encouraging them to be licensed for amateur radio. The county has very few operators, and those that are there are, because of health reasons, aren't very active in the Aries program. So the EM director is very appreciative of amateur radio, and back in the '97 floods, they saw what amateur radio can do. So he's really pushing them to get a license. And he himself is working on one, as well as their IT person.
Okay. Now, you see, that is great, an excellent idea. Most of the counties in area in District 6, I don't know of any of them that have really an active CERT program going on. But where you have a CERT program going, you have already a community-minded group of people together. So that is an excellent source of getting new hams or an Aries group together, get started with. Some of these people, as they get older or whatever, as he says, may not be able to do the CERT end of it, because I've taken the CERT training before, and it can be rather physical. And I really would want to do it now. But you got to look out for these sources of potential volunteers, and that is one of them that I think is really good, and that's the CERT program where it is active. Okay, if you want to start, now this is kind of geared toward your DECs, your ASECs, or even if you want to be an EC in a particular county. Craig Nelson, where are you? Craig? Okay. Craig is a very persistent fellow. He started at the top, kind of worked his way around, finally landed with me, basically, on wanting to start a group in Trimble County. Now, it was a challenge for him, and I understand that, and bless his heart, he's worked with it and persevered. But he said, I want to start an Aries group in Trimble County. And I said, great. How many hams you got? He says, 12, I think. so he didn't have a real big group to start with, but he kept going with it. And he got with the emergency manager up there and talked to him about it, and worked with him. And how many have you got in your group now?
Right now? 5.
Okay, 5 out of 12. Okay, that's almost 50% of the hams in the county. How many of you can say that you got 50% of the hams in your county in your Aries group? Probably not very many, so he's done an excellent job up there, and I really applaud him for that. But he took the approach sort of like I was taking on various things. In my former life, I worked for the Kentucky State Police, and that gave me the opportunity to meet up with a great many emergency management people in my job going around the state. And so that has helped out a whole lot to know some of these guys. If you're going into a county that you are not familiar with, you've never dealt with before, and you need my suggestion is to go to the emergency management fellow and work through him to start with. I mean, just from the get-go. I know that doesn't always work. Every once in a while, you'll get an emergency management guy that just wants absolutely nothing to do with ham radio, and I'm sorry for that. There's nothing I can do to fix that. But if you do, I would suggest you go with them. That kind of comes under the general title there, is who is your served agency going to be in whatever county you're starting on. I would suggest first, emergency management. Now, the reason why I say emergency management is because that is the fellow who is supposed to be in an emergency situation allocating resources around. He's the one that's supposed to know who to contact, where to send them, and things like that. So if he decides, yes, we need people at this, and this hospital, then he would work through you to get that done. If he decides, well, we need them at this, and this shelter, then you would do it that way. So that would be the guy to go to. However, if he wants nothing to do with you, there's nothing that still keeps you from starting an Aries group in your county, or in whatever county you're trying to establish it in. So then you look for other possibilities. Well, what about the Red Cross? If the Red Cross is looking for communications volunteers, you could say, look, we're trying to start a group in this county. Would you be interested in our services? And go with it that way and see if they can help you out on some various things. They might be able to offer a meeting place. You know, they do that quite often, I think, for a lot of different groups. If that, you know, maybe there's not a Red Cross office in that county that you're looking at. Look at the local, is there a local hospital or clinic? Perhaps they could work something along that line. Let me tell you what, the hospitals are getting very, very interested in ham radio. Not only that, but just recently in what they call the ARES group, which is up around Jefferson County and surrounding county areas, they just purchased 10 ICOMS IC2000s, and they're putting them in nursing homes. Now, that scares me a little bit, but I made a meeting yesterday, made a pitch for Aries to that ARES group. And I said, well, you know, do you have a communications committee? Yes, they do. So I've sort of volunteered myself to be on that communications committee to assist in ham radio related things rather than have the 97-year-old guy jump on the local repeater asking for something in his long-term memory, because the short-term is gone, which I'm beginning to relate to more and more these days. None of the rest of you do, I'm sure, but I do not. I have several things. Okay, local hospital. Maybe there is no local hospital. You have the health department. The health department is quite concerned about a lot of different things these days, particularly things like, has anybody seen Contagion? Anybody gonna see the movie? Come on, guys, get with it. Okay? Wasn't that scary? That wasn't near as bad as it could have been. They downplayed it. You know, and they were trying to make it look bad, but they downplayed it. Let me tell you what, these health department people are scared to death of catastrophic flu of some type. They are looking at that to be a problem someday, and I agree with them. I think it's just a matter of the right genetic materials getting mixed in with the right pig and the right chicken and the right whatever, and hopefully not at the same time. But the one main line in the whole movie that really comes to you is they're talking about, you know, Homeland Security. All these people are starting to die of the flu, and Homeland Security is going to the CDC people, and they're talking about, if someone weaponized the flu. And I says, no, the birds are doing that for us. You know, so that, you know, that's already been, it's going to be done. One of these days it's going to hit us. And so they're going to be looking for communications assets. There's going to be treatment centers and things set up all kinds of different places, and they're going to stretch capabilities beyond anything you ever saw before in your life, if and when that develops. So anyway, like I say, the first thing you need to do whenever you're going into a county is decide what is going to be your principal served agency in that county. And if at all possible, I'd say go with emergency management first. But there are other alternatives. There are other things to look at. Don't give up there. If you're going to the emergency manager, have something to offer him, okay? Don't go in and say, you know, we want to start a group and we want this. We want you to buy radios, we want you to put up a tower, we want a spot on this or that. You know, we want you to buy, don't do that. Don't do that. You're wanting to come in and offer him something, not the other way around. And until you prove yourself and you prove you can do something, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Well, you got to start the scratching, guys. You are going to have to start it. They are not, and unless they get caught by the short hairs on some emergency situation, which is what happened with the ice storm in a lot of cases. The ice storm stirred up a lot of interest in us, and a lot of people are really, remembering that. So keep that in mind. You can even play that to your advantage a little bit if you want to. But go in with something to offer. Say, look, and if you only got 6 good, dependable guys, gals, whatever, do that. Say, look, I got 6 guys, and they're good, they're trained, they're capable, they have the equipment, they can go set up, they can go do this, they can go do that. First of all, be sure you can deliver on all that. Don't go in and say, I've got all this stuff and you don't have it. Have it first, and then, if you can have it first, and then go. If you don't have it, tell him. Tell him, says, look, I want to start a group, and here's what I would like to be able to do, but I really could use your support in getting it started. So he says, oh man, look at all this work that you just created for me, and okay. Go to him first, give him something. Don't get there with your open hand. Give you with something in your hand to give to him. It's easy. It's an easy thing to do. All you got to do is save him a little bit of paperwork, and here's how you do it. First thing, you go in and you go to the FCC database or QRZ or wherever it is you can find it, and you get a list of every ham in your county and what their address is. Okay? And you have that list all printed out for him. Right there, you've saved a lot of work, right there. Second of all, go in with a letter already prepared. And that doesn't have to be totally formatted the way he would do it, but with the wording already there. Here's something like what I did. We had a conference in Louisville where all the emergency management people came to go to various workshops and things. Kenny and Jim and I were there, and Kenny and Jim put on a presentation on what Aries was. Jim had put together an excellent PowerPoint, and when he put on the presentation, he and Kenny did, I kind of stuck around and watched. But while I was there, I started handing out business cards. If you don't have a business card, why? If it's a matter of expense, it doesn't cost that much to buy 500 cards, and you can do them with Word on your computer. It's very easy to do. And have business cards so that he knows who he can contact whenever there's a situation. But go in and have you, the letter would say something like, dear ham radio operator, this would be addressed to the hams in the county. Dear ham radio operator, after attending a recent conference, I learned of the value of ham radio operations in emergency situations, something like that. And we are getting ready to put on a formative meeting. We did that in Trimble County, we did it in Oldham County, and we had great success with that. We're getting ready to have a formative meeting and have a place established, an address, a time, a date, and everything, and then be there and put on the presentation as to what Aries is, because there are hams out here who don't know what Aries is. They may show up and say, well, that's for me, or it's not. But explain what Aries is for them and at the conference, or the conference, but the formative meeting. When you're at the meeting, have some, explain some things, explain what is Aries, what is Races, what's the difference, what has support, what doesn't, what's going on. Just be upfront with it. Now, supposedly you've already done all this with your emergency manager. Don't let him come into these kinds of things blind. Remember that at first you're an unknown quantity and you're going to need to prove yourself a little bit first. That's after you get everything warmed up. I got a little head on the meeting there. When meeting with emergency management or other professionals in the county that you're looking at, be professional, look professional. Guys, clean your act up, okay? Have a nice shirt, have a logo on it, have a business card. Don't look like you just came in after putting up hay all day. Really, you do not know how much impression that makes on a lot of these guys. Particularly anybody in the uniform services like fire departments or police departments. If you're dealing with them any way, shape, or form, they will make a judgment on you like that, and it will stick. So when you go in, look professional, act professional, be professional, because if you don't, it will stick. It will stick, and you will have a hard time leaving that down. And let me explain the psychology behind that and everything. Well, they should, Here's the deal, particularly police officers. I was a police officer for 31 years. I kind of know how they think. Fire department people are maybe a little bit different, but they got to do a lot of the same thing too. They are used to making judgments right now, sticking with them and going with them. And that's what they do. They'll size you down, right or wrong, they'll size you up, make a decision, and do something. And that's their job. That's what they do, and they carry that over into just about everything they do. That's what causes a lot of problems at home. But just to let you know, that's the psychology behind it. It doesn't matter if you can FL digi till your toenails fall off. When you go in there, you don't look like you're capable of doing what you say you can do. They will turn you off very quickly. So just please keep that in mind. And same with your people. If they're going to any kind of meeting or anything like that, just keep your act cleaned up and run with it that way. See, back to the organizational meeting. Advertise, okay? KY Ham, send out emails to everybody you know, surrounding counties, request them to send the same information out to other people. Sometimes if you plan far enough ahead on this, you could even put something in the local newspaper. Organizational meeting for ham radio emergency group. On such and such a date, such and such a time. Need not be a ham to attend. Okay, recruit some people. Get started on getting some new people in. Look around. There's not that many under 25 in here. We need to get some more people in here in this hobby. Let's see. Okay, if you're having this formative meeting, it would really be helpful to have somebody to represent the served agency, most likely the emergency manager. Have him come. When we did this in Oldham County, they were even gracious enough to provide soft drinks, cookies, and things like that. And if they don't do it yourself. I mean, how much does a couple, 2 liters of soft drink and some cheap cookies from the dollar store cost? No, maybe nobody will eat them. You got to take them home and feed them to your dog. But still, make the effort. Nobody doesn't like Sara Lee, right? A few little gifts. Next time you go to the Ham Fest, if you're planning on doing this, next time you go to the Ham Fest, come up with a few little trinkets, little 25-cent, 50-cent, $1 items. And have a raffle. Okay, you're having a raffle here. Everybody kind of enjoys that. Everybody wants to get something free. It doesn't, so it's made in China, what is it? Some little useful little thing that what a ham would want. These little finger LED flashlights. I mean, that's not much of a thing, but it can come in very handy sometimes. Am I blank? Well, that's fine. That right there, that's what I'm talking about, right there. Fill in the blanks. But you know, something like that, and advertise that in the letter, say, hey, there's going to be some refreshments, or hey, there's going to be some door prizes, you know, and that might say, anybody wants something for free. So, you know, it doesn't have to be expensive, it just has to be something for free. Educate there too. There are hams that may show up that don't even know what ARRL is or what it stands for, okay? They may not know what Aries is or what Aries is. Educate them too. Now, while you're educating them, you may be educating some public official that may have showed up. Or you may, maybe the newspaper, if you put the ad in the newspaper, maybe they'll send somebody. So, you know, again, like I say, there are even a lot of hams that don't know ARL, what that stands for, or what is, does Gracie still exist? What does it do? Who runs that? You know, so you get questions like that. Now, to help you along in that, Jim has a great presentation, a PowerPoint thing that you can put on that's very easy to follow, very easy to present, explains what Aries is, explains what Races is, and explains, and it was actually geared toward the emergency management people, but it works just as well toward hams that may be interested in getting involved in this. So, you know, educate them. Let's see, we're talking about Jim's thing. Look for leadership at this meeting. Now, it would help if you already have that leader picked, if you can. That's not always the case. I have found that out. If you can beforehand, you have that list of hands. You've already talked to the emergency manager. Have the emergency manager look over the list. And let's face it, some of us are not good leaders. It's not nothing against you, it's just what it is, you know. There are some people that may have, for whatever reason, this particular emergency manager gotten off on a wrong foot somewhere in the past. Don't fight that fight again, you know. So give the EM guy or whoever the served agency representative is a dog in the fight, a input as to who's going to actually lead this group. If they can't work together, it's not going to do any good, it's not going to go anywhere, it's not going to work. So try to head, if at all possible, try to head that off from the get-go. You know, and it may be a friend of yours, you know, but he may be just not the type that gets along with that type. So, you know, unless you've got some good and capable leadership in this, you know, and I've been very lucky so far. In Oldham County, Roman stood up there, and Rick came up. And my golly, those guys just taking off like crazy guns. It's just unbelievable. Talk to this man as to what to do and get things started. Roman, stand up. Let everybody see him. Roman is the EC for Oldham County. He has some past leadership experience with a club in California, and he has taken on the role of EC out in Oldham County. Oldham County is a very populated county, a rather affluent county, but he got together, they had a repeater out there that was a little subpar, but it was working, and he did the diligence of tracking down who owned the repeater, and it was a bit of a detective job, wasn't it? Well, he found out who the repeater owner is, and the repeater owner turns out to be Lytle Smith. Lytle Smith owned his own communications company. He put this up, put it even a ham, and just for snicks and giggles. And that tower is where he has rented stuff. And after he found out that there was somebody that actually had some interest in it, he says, well, he says, there's some problems with it. He says, he thinks lightning hit the antenna. He says, I'm going to put you up a new antenna. And he says, if the repeater's bad, I'll put you up a new repeater. And then there's another machine, a 440 machine, that's been kind of forgotten about for years. When it was up and running, it was a kick rear machine, man. And so now he's talking about replacing that too. So just making a few phone calls, asking a few right questions, got things going for him. So things like that could happen just about anywhere. And even a county over, if you get something cooking over there with a group or another repeat, repeater or whatever, might help you 3 or 4 counties around and get more people interested. Okay, after you get your group up and going, you got some leadership going, they've had a formative meeting, they got some things going on, don't leave them hanging, okay? Go back to their meetings. Go back and say, hey, you know, how are things going? What are we going to do tonight? Give the leadership maybe some, you know, because somebody might come and say, well, I really don't know what I'm going to present or whatever. Give them some ideas as to what to present. Shelby County out there, they're doing some great things out there. They, in the past, have gotten from emergency management some Yaesu 8800s. Well, they've got a lot of newer people out there, and so one of the things they're doing on occasion is they're bringing in an 8800, and they're sitting everybody down, and they're saying, okay, I want you to program this frequency in, I want you to put that offset in, and I want you to put this PL tone in, okay? That's something you really need to know how to do. You know, you're liable to grab your radio or whatever and go 3 counties away and start working on a repeater that you've never worked before, don't have programmed in or what have you. You need to know how to do that. And if you don't own that particular type of radio, it's a club asset or emergency management asset or whatever, then that's something you really should probably work with. And so they've kind of standardized and they're working from there. Again, these, what I was saying about the long-term nursing care places are just bought 10 IC 2200s. I had no idea how to program a 2200, never done it. So if this gets up and running and going and we start trying to provide some sort of support for that, I'm going to learn how to run one. And I need to do that. Like I say, attend their meetings, give them ideas on programs, and share any activities that come up and try to get them involved, especially with the surrounding groups. Another thing, Oldham County, Shelby County, Trimble County, they're attending each other's meetings. If they have an activity coming up, I know Shelby County has got something called Light Up Shelbyville that they work every year. I really expect to see them inviting Oldham County group over and Trimble County operators over to assist them with that, okay? If something's going on in Trimble County, a festival or a fair or whatever it is they're working on, I should hope to see that they'd be asking their neighbors for assistance to come along involved in that. Another thing Shelby County's been doing too, at least 2 events, big events that you set up booths at.
Fall festivals.
Fall festivals?
Bentonville and Bentonville.
This is festival time. My golly, just, you know, all kinds of places having all kinds of festivals. If, depending on what it is and who's running it and whatever, you may be able to set up a booth somewhere and explain a little bit about ham radio. Set up a special event station, or just, if nothing else, you might be, and here's another thing you can offer the EM fellow in here, the emergency manager in the county that you're looking at. Hey, would you want to set up a booth? We'll help man it. You can lay out your pamphlets about hurricanes, being prepared for this, flood insurance, whatever it is that they want to try to get their information out on, while you could contact Jim here and get some pamphlets on ham radio, have ham radio set up there and talk to people about it, come up. They just did something very similar to this down in Hardin County, that right down there. And that was pretty successful for you guys, wasn't it? And you know, things can be done, but you just got to get out and do it. It's just not going to come fall in your lap. Here's one other thing that I'm trying to get going. I haven't got it done yet, but if you can, as a DEC or ASEC or whatever, set up a field trip. Now, one thing I'm trying to do now, I've been working with Bob Stevens to try to get a trip of 3 or 4 Aries groups to go up to Frankfurt and visit the EOC up there, look at their ham radio set up and what kind of equipment's there, and maybe get some instruction on what might be expected of them if they were ever called upon to come up there and man one of the stations, you know. So if you don't get these people involved, you won't keep them at all. They will go away. They will absolutely go away. So make sure they have some ideas. Another place to get some ideas as far as activities and meetings is kyham.net, quite honestly. There's a whole list of links on there of how to build antennas, just a myriad of different ideas and things that you can turn around and convert into some kind of presentation. When I was in Florida, a fellow down there showed me a couple links and actually showed me something he put together. A dual band antenna made out of a piece of PVC pipe, a piece of coax, 2 strips of aluminum foil. You don't really need them, but it's a little better to use them, a couple of screws. That's it. And you got a dual band antenna with some gain that you can stick up in the air. This thing might cost all of $3. I think the most expensive part's going to be the whatever connector you put on the end of the coax. And I've used it before at one of these bike-a-thons, set it up next to my truck and used a crossband repeat setup, and they work just great. So that's a thing that'd be very easy to set up and do at one of the meetings and get everybody get hands-on doing something and be able to walk away with something that they can actually use. So these are the kinds of things that I would expect to see the EECs, the ASECs to start pushing, promoting to the groups, and to get a group started in a county that doesn't have one, and also to keep them up and running. So does anybody have any questions about anything I said? Yes, sir.
Just a comment, the Simpsonville Fall Festival, we were set up there, and there's a amateur radio operator in Shelby County that is an extra class license. Never hear him on the radio, repeater, simplex, nothing, digital. So right now he is grossly involved with the digital setups and stuff in Shelby County. So if these